Termites! It's the last night. So get super cozy and get a drink because I'm going to finish this. I don't know how long it'll take. What are we drinking? Well, it's also very exciting because the football's on tomorrow. And this is in honor of the Chiefs. I am from Missouri, so I am a Chiefs fan by happenstance since St. Louis. We've lost 2 teams. I believe we're the only American city to have accomplished that. You know, when you lose 2, maybe it's you. Maybe it's us. I don't think so, though. This is Stonebreaker, an Irish and American whiskey, blended whiskey, inspired by the Irish Isles, created on the American plains, right out of Kansas City. Isn't that lovely? But I must say, I am a big Bills fan, too. I mean, they're just so fun to watch, and it's a great city. If you've never been to Buffalo, you should go. And I went to the bar, I believe it's called the Anchor Bar, which is the home of the original Buffalo wings, and people are all like, well, there's way better ones in Buffalo. And I'm like, well, maybe they are, but I thought the ones at the Anchor were great. And then sometimes I think people, they don't like the thing that started the thing because then it becomes touristy, which it does. But as I always tell my brother when he's like, are you really going to go do all that touristy shit? There's a reason people do it. Yes, I'm going to the San Francisco Wharf. Yes, I'm getting a chowder bowl. Yes, I'm going to go see if the sea lions are out, or the seals, wherever they're, sea lions, I think. Just big, giant, well, you know, whatever. Yes, I'm going to the fucking Alamo, Pat, because I like history, and I might stay there all day. Whatever is a touristy thing, this lady's going. I'm on board if it's, you know, fun. But can't think of anything touristy things that aren't that fun. So you guys asked what I've been painting. I'll show you this one. This is my favorite place in the whole world, bar none. What is this? This is Old Head Golf Course in Kinsale, Ireland. I may give this to my parents. I don't know what else I would do with it, but I felt like painting it since I can't go there like I was gonna this year. Me and Lou were gonna go. Now we can't go to Old Head. So I painted it instead. Oh, let's get into it, Termites. It's a very sad ending. I wish there was another Loretta book. We could just jump right into what the hell. Oh, she got vaccinated. I saw it on the Instagram. Isn't that exciting? It's so exciting. And how about Uncle Bernie at the inauguration? Have there ever been that many funny memes over anything? My friend Judy Gold, who's Jewish, posted an Instagram thing of Bernie on the beach with Chris Christie's fat ass and his super white family, and then Bernie's in his coat and mittens. It said every old Jewish person who's had a basal cell skin cancer. Like, it's my dad, too. You don't have to be Jewish. At this point, my father's going to have to dress like a beekeeper to golf, and it's going to be fucking embarrassing. But I'll still go with him, because it'll be me someday, too, I'm sure. All right, she's talking about her twins getting their music going. It'd be sad for this to end. She talked about twins. They've seen both sides of show business, the twins. Back when I was doing commercials for the Crisco company, they was in them. Well, okay, we're going to go down the Google path for that. Crisco ads with the twins in them. Sissy, too. That's another one of her kids. The downside was the kids at school made fun of them every time Crisco showed one of them commercials. The upside was that they stopped making fun of them about the girls, time the girls saved enough of their Crisco money to buy new cars. I have to admit, they won't listen to me about the music business. I got lots of advice about radio and record labels and managers. They don't want to hear none of it. Well, probably because it wasn't really done like that 30 years later. You can't just bust into a radio station with, you know, and tell people to start playing your shit or you shoot them. I think that's what Dude did. I don't think you can do that anymore. They didn't back then and they don't now. Usually, there's one thing I tell to all my girls and they listen. That bit of advice, if you slide into show business on your back, you'll slide out on your belly. What kind of advice is that? Sissy was another one that didn't listen to me when she was out on the road. She got herself a backer and got a bus. Sissy done pretty good, too. She's another one with a great voice. She toured all over and was doing great until the backer dropped out. I think that hurt her feelings, hurt her confidence too. I think I mentioned it before. You can dang near, you dang near can't hurt Ernest Ray's feelings. He could have been a major star if he'd stopped his drinking and hell raising. He just loves going out and playing shows with me. The twins started going out with me too, even though they don't pay no attention to anything I say. I'd fight a bull for any one of them. Maybe the girls are afraid I'll do something like I'd done to Crystal a lot of years back. What? I not only came up with her name, but I gave her the idea of having long, straight hair as her trademark. I never knew she'd grown it to the floor. I was thinking more waist level. Me too, Loretta. I see that hair and I just think it's a haunted house. That's all I think of. I don't know why. This little blend got a little bite to it. I would recommend you ice it down a little bit. It's really good. But if you're not used to the bite, let the ice cube melt a little bit. I finally, wait, Chris hair. When I first came up with the idea, I taught with making her hair soft. When it got real long, it would be the most gorgeous hair anybody ever saw. I got a jar of mayonnaise and slathered the whole thing on her head. I will stand here and tell you that Crystal's head stunk for about a month. She never did trust any of my tips after that. Well, no. Fuck no, you're not putting a jar of mayonnaise on my head. Maybe Miracle Whip, because that's what we like in the Midwest. No, nobody's putting mayonnaise on. Why did you come up with that? I finally moved back to Hurricane Mills, going back to the place where Dew lived his last days. It was very difficult, because there I faced the reality of being a widow, square in the eyes. There was memories everywhere I looked. Even the road reminded me of Dew. I remember the time he was driving along in the Jeep and I saw an old dead snake in the road. It had been flattened by something. I told Dew I wanted to stop and see what kind of snake it was. He stopped and I jumped out, but when I got up to the snake, it reared up and went for me. It was a dying cottonmouth. Okay, people, you are hillbillies. You should know better. And did you know that even if you chop the head of a snake off, people always think, it can still bite. It's a nerve thing, but it can still bite you. So even if you think it's dead, do not pick up a snake. Ever. That's just my advice. But it didn't get me because Dew pulled his gun and shot it in a split second. I told him I couldn't believe he'd been able to do that because everyone knew I was the best shot in the family. Little by little, I started realizing how much Dew done out at the ranch. Things wasn't like usual. Oh, Ernest Ray was able to get on the bulldozer like his daddy done, but Ernest Ray would much rather be out playing guitar than plow in the bulldozing. I saw just how much of the country's work she means like country, had done all them years. The county's work. I'm sorry, I can't read right today. I saw how much of the county's work, it didn't make any sense. Dew had done all them years. He'd been keeping up the roads, a lot of those things the county should have been doing. Putting Betty Sue and Sissy in charge of the town and the Dew ranch helped a lot, but the farm needed somebody strong to keep everything working. Another friend came back into my life on a much closer basis during this time and started to help me finishing the renovation Dew had started. That's the one behind the one with the big old columns. My dressmaker of 25 years, Tim Cobb, moved to Hurricane Ranch and is with me to this day. I've come to depend on him for so much. He runs a household now. He's the one who designed my new museum. Tim and me is like family. We fuss and squabble, but it don't mean nothing. One of the things I'd done was fix up a room in the house where we could have company in at any old time, and it would look just perfect. It's real elegant with an organ and fancy furniture and artwork. The room where we hang out and watch television is much more casual with a lot of Indian art, probably for her grandpa that didn't talk, except to tell her I think she was ugly or something mean. Bowls and statues and pictures. I added some extra bedrooms too. Dew always said that this new house should just have one bedroom because all them kids was growed up. I decided my kids and grandkids should have a bed waiting for them if they needed one. Well, this is part of the problem. This is how we go down that road of dependency now. It turns out they're 50 years old and they can't even, pay a light bill or a water bill. Why? Why would they? She's paying it. I don't think we're learning much here on the economic home front. Strange things started to happen when we got to finishing the house. I realized it was the first thing that I felt like was mine. Mine alone. Everywhere else we live seemed to take on Dude's personality. This time I was putting my own into it. I was plenty glad when Tim and Chuck were out at Hurricane Mills because the kids didn't come often as I'd like them to. Oh, that's sad. They were busy doing things, I guess. I wanted to see them more, friends and family. I ought to stay close in touch because you just never know what's waiting around the corner. I learned that over and over in my life. As I was reminded of again in April of 1998 when my sister Crisco called me with the news that Tammy Wynette had died. I dropped the telephone, almost couldn't pick it back up to hear the details. Death just kept walking through Nashville and grabbing folks I loved. 1998 was when I finally had surgery to remove a breast implant I'd got years earlier. When did that happen? It was back in 1973. A lot of women in entertainment decided to get them. It was the dumbest dang thing I'd ever done. By 1998, that thing was leaking into my chest cavity and under my arm. Oh my God. It had got to the point where I was getting scared. Yeah, fuck yeah. Oh, look, there's shit leaking out from my arm. Yeah. Then I signed up for the surgery. If I hadn't got them things removed, I would have died. I'd come out at the time warning women about them. If you got them, get them out. They can be real dangerous. Another milestone was in 1998. I recorded my first solo album. I don't know that we're going to finish this tonight. Termites, I didn't realize I had this much left to go. Well, I'm going to go. I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it no matter what. I'm going to skip this part because it's about Randy's album, though. Even with a few shows here and here, I really didn't get it back a tour schedule until spring of 98. By that time, I knew what I wanted. I had to get back. By that time, I knew I wanted to. I had to get back to the stage full time. We had lots of offers coming in, and now I started taking them. I kicked off one of the first tours at Lowell, Massachusetts. How about in Lowell, Massachusetts? At Lowell? When the word got out that I was serious about putting business back into force, papers wrote a lot about it. I got a lot of support from fans. Back before Dew passed away, we used to watch Pastor Arnold Murray on television. He was teaching instead of preaching, and I liked that. I liked learning things about the Bible, but me and Dew always called him the preacher. You can find Pastor Murray on television 24 hours a day if you have a satellite dish. Well, I've never heard of this person. Maybe he's already done. Your preachers on TV, Dew used to holler. Except I think if you're really from Kentucky, there's a lot of that. My Kentucky comedian friend, they don't say TV, they say TV. A lot of emphasis on the T. TV and insurance instead of insurance. Insurance. I met Pastor Murray in 1999. I've learned more about the Bible from him than anyone else. I was watching the pastor's program one morning. I had a question about something he said. I was tempted to try to call him, but I was too shy. So I made Tim do it. Tim asked a question for me and then went and told the preacher that I thought I was too country to bother a man with a national ministry. Next thing I knew, Pastor Murray sent me some spiritual material and 2 pictures of himself. One is just a head and shoulders photo that hangs in my bus. The other was a picture of him riding a mule named Pearl. This is a shot of me and Pearl, the preacher wrote. Pearl is the mule. I'm just country too. Isn't that a nice story? What pastors have headshots of themselves? I thought it was funny as the dickens. Pretty soon we was talking all the time on the telephone. Dew had been dead for 3 years at that time, and Pastor Murray's wife had been dead for 2. Me and him had both been married more than 47 years, star mates. We took up right off on the telephone, and the preacher came to see me perform at the Opry. Isn't that nice? I went to see him in the late fall of 1999 in Gravette, Arkansas. He lives there and videotapes his television programs there, too. Wow, I've seen some crazy shit in the Ozarks on TV, and I've never seen this person. Now I'm going to have to go Google him. I got to know the preacher's sister-in-law, Martha, who was practically raised by him and his wife, her older sister. Me and Martha got to be friends on that trip. The Battle of Nashville was one of the most famous ever fought during the Civil War. Each year, men dressed in uniforms just like the Union and the Confederate armies, and they reenact the battle at my ranch. Oh. Civil War reenactments. I wonder who you let win. You change the ending there? Yeah. Pastor filmed it in 1999 for a documentary that he produced at the reenactment. Me and him dressed in formal costumes that day and went with the day and time of the Civil War. I have pictures of us dressed up that was displayed on the mantle in my Nashville home. When he came to see me one time, I was going to be busy for a few hours and needed Ernest Ray to host the preacher. Oh, that's probably not a good idea. Maybe take him to dinner. Another not a good idea. I should have asked Betsy and Sissy. Now, there's plenty of fine restaurants in Nashville, but where did Ernest take the preacher? To Tootsie's Orchid Lounge. Well, Tootsie's has a goddamn good cheeseburger. Or they did when I went there, which has been more than once. Pastor Murray's a tall man, stands out in the crowd. Ernest told the pastor he'd lead him through the crowd shoulder to shoulder, and the preacher followed Ernest close. You know what Ernest done to the preacher? He went to the crowd pinching girls on the butt. The preacher couldn't see that. Each girl whirled around in time to see the pastor and thought he'd done the pinching. Because his television program goes all over the nation, I bet a lot of them recognized the pastor, though, and thought he pinched them. That's what Ernest wanted them to think. One woman even went to get her boyfriend and confront Pastor Murray. I just know he got the reputation of being the pinching preacher that day, thanks to Ernest. I was plumb furious at Ernest Ray, but the pastor laughed it off. Somebody asked if I compared Pastor Murray to Do. I didn't speak my answer. I yelled it, no! One of the good things about our friendship is we talk about my late husband and his late wife. Neither of us is jealous of the feelings we still have for him. Right after Do died, I got into some business deals I shouldn't have. Oh, no. What now? That's a little vague for me. I need to know more about that. Right after I got into some business deals I shouldn't have. But by the year 2000, I was touring hot and heavy. Jesus, that's not that long ago. And things were looking up. I'd toured more than I had in the past 15 or so years. Loved every minute of it. Finished up Coal Miner's Daughter Museum at Hurricane Mills. We had a big old grand opening attended by several thousand people. Namely, Judd come. Oh, Mama Judd! Mama Judd crazy. Did you ever watch the Judds, that reality show? I did. Sadly, it wasn't on long enough. Shoo, buddy. Mama crazy. Naomi Judd, George Doan, Tanya Tucker, Jet Williams, they all helped me kick off the camping season. Oh, I ended up getting a new manager when Lane decided to leave. He'd been with me a long time, but he'd been wanting to do some things on his own. So now Jet's husband, Keith Atkinson, is both my lawyer and my manager. As I was wrapping up this book, trying to remember something specifics, I started thinking about some things in general. I'd like to tell you about this one night and how I've come to put things in perspective. This is going to be her final send-off to us, so y'all better pay attention. Oh, yes, we get through it. Oh. Chapter 28. All these years of living on a bus left me with a sleep problem. You should drink more. Sometimes I fall asleep at 7 in the evening, wake up at midnight or 2 in the morning. Sometimes I can't get to sleep until the early morning hours and I sleep late. Old people get fixated. It's like the Progressive commercial that's so funny. I think they say it in there. Nobody cares what time you woke up. All of my old friends, I'm saying over 65, they all, in the morning too, if they stay here, they'll tell me how they slept. I don't care. Unless, did something happen in the guest room I should know about? Did you have a heart attack and I didn't know about that? Other than that, I woke up about 3:30 and walked around, and then nobody cares. This is all about her sleep. I don't care. The past 5 or 6 months brought a lot of change for me, as well as a health scare. Health problem happened in April, just a few days after I filmed an arts and entertainment Loretta Lynn by request special. The show went great, and I was proud that people said I sounded in top vocal form. It means a lot to me. I hate to shortchange my audience. After the special, I was hugging folks in the audience. I must have picked up a bug, because 3 days later, I came down with bacterial pneumonia. Oh, no. I dang near died several times over the next few weeks. In fact, my grandson, little Ernie, almost died too. That's where he fell 3 stories from a construction site and ripped the back of his head half off. What? He come to my house when he was released from the hospital. We tried to get together. Every time we turned around, we was telling each other we needed therapy. But I felt fine by the time I took that moonlight walk. I walked away from the new style ranch house through the property where I could see the front of the big house where tourists still visit. Doolittle loved that house so much, and I thought back to the time after we bought it. Doolittle got under the house, and seeing how close it was to falling down, he laid under there and cried, thinking about how much work was going to have to be done. Standing there in the moonlight, the memories of Doo taking a woman there before I could move in seemed far away. Oh my God. Not forgotten, but somewhere long gone and not too important. Well, she didn't forget. My husband was one who thought having more than one woman is a man's right. It ain't, of course, but that don't mean men don't think it. Well, yeah, they sure, in some countries they do it, just fine with it. It don't mean women got to put up with it either. But like I said, when I seen Doo sick there at the end, the hurting of his womanization, I forgave him for everything he'd done. Forgiveness already set in, because I forgave myself even before I forgave him. Well, good. The way I'd done it was by giving up all the guilt I felt all them years. Like a lot of folks, I blame myself for everything. The cheating, the fighting, and the drinking. Only way I could grow up was to come to terms with the fact that I wasn't the cause of it. That's right. If a person can't get past guilt, they ain't going nowhere. While I was thinking about Doo, I reminded myself that I want to plant one of them old-fashioned lilacs by his grave. He'll like that. Then I walked down the road past the pond where we know there was an old fox is catching ducks and having them for dinner, and he'd better hope I didn't come up on him doing it. I quit ringing chickens' necks a long time ago, but I thought I might just grab that fox by the throat. Then I went over to the bridge where the old mill stands, and the one built in the 1700s where I got my doll collection and a gift shop. That building has been a woolen mill and a grist mill, and I'm proud we kept it up for folks to visit as a little part of Tennessee history. Right across from the mill stands a replica of our old house, Butcher Holler. Every time I look at that house, I remember how lucky I was to have lived there the first 13 years of my life with such a loving family. Love you get as a child. A strong family life will keep something to keep you going through most anything. And I don't mean just the love I got from my mama and my daddy, my sisters and brothers meant the world to me. When I look at that old cabin, I can see them and hear them. My oldest brother, Junior, died of the same kind of bacterial pneumonia that dang near got me in 2001. Like mine, it came on fast, hit him hard. Lord, I love my big brother. He took such good care of me. That's a big brother. They'll love you at a distance when they're kids. They'll love you when they're kids. The one thing I respect most about Junior is the way he took care of his family, working 3 jobs at a time if he needed to. I admire hard workers more than anything else. Next came my brother Herman. He and me have always been really close, even though we did have one of the worst fights I'd ever seen. It was back when Doo throwed me out and I come home 14-year-olds and pregnant. One day I was crying and Herman starts saying in his sing-song voice that brothers and sisters used to teach each other, I know why you're crying, it's Doolittle, Doolittle. I run after him, I slapped his face. Then he run after me. Mama was up in the yard. Then she turned to me and said, Lorettie, if you wasn't pregnant, I'd let him beat the snot out of you. It's funny the things you remember, isn't it? Jay Lee came along 3 years after me. We spent a lot of hours as an adult. Since he drove the car and played guitar with me. Jay Lee was a nervous guy, and he got them sick headaches like me, also known as migraines. One thing about Jay Lee, you always knew where he stood. If you made him mad, he'd tell you off in a second. Didn't matter who made him mad either. It could be me, Doo, or the Wilburns, or the night clerk. He was what you'd call an equal opportunity honest man. I miss him. Next along was Donald Ray. Herman looked like a lot like our daddy, but Donald Ray acts more like him. He's a real lovable personality, one of the sweetest personalities. He loved being the baby before Peggy Sue grabbed his spot in the family. I'll never forget one year when Mama had an Easter egg hunt. The only year I remember us doing that was while I was still home. She squashed pokeberries in a bowl of water and put boiled eggs in there until they was kind of a light wine color. After she'd hit them, us kids went down to lowlands and found what we could. I only found one. Donald Ray found 3. I guess nobody could have been surprised. Like Junior, Donald Ray turned out to be a hard worker. Right after Donald Ray came my baby, at least the one I laid claim to, Peggy Sue. I consider her mine to mother and carried her around till she was dragging her feet on the floor. I bathed her, diapered her. All Mama had to do was breastfeed Peggy Sue. I remember coming through Wabash one time and Peggy was writing a song about drinking. She and I put our minds to it. We came up with, she helped write Don't Come Home a Drinking with Lovin' on Your Mind. I know that one. That was a good song. She's a dang good writer, with or without me. And she sings her tail off. She loves to have fun. And like Mama, she would tell you the joke at the drop of a hat. I was gone for a lot of the time when my littlest sisters, Betty, Ruth, and Crystal, were being raised. But I can tell you there were some things I figured out about them when they was young. Betty Ruth will let you know where you sit with her just as fast as Peggy Sue would tell you a joke. Betty Ruth's a lot like our Grandpa Webb when it comes to talking right up. I always knowed Crystal was a great beauty and a great singer. I saw her talent long before I saw my own. Lord knows I wanted to be a mother hen to my kids. I'm the world's biggest old mama hen, no matter how you slice and dice it. Shoot, one winter night years back, a whole bunch of hens and ducks and eggs was waiting to hatch in the kitchen. In the kitchen? A storm came up, knocked out the electricity, which meant them babies were going to freeze right up in the eggs. I put them all in a basket, hauled them to a bedroom, threw covers back over, and stuck them in our bed. Then I crawled in under the blanket so my body heat would keep them warm. But them babies was warm and hatched out just fine that night. So when I call myself a mother hen, I really mean it. Oh, Lord. And then she's just going to go. I'm going to jump one page because I've already scanned it, and it's just more about what she thinks of the kids, and it's fine. There's nothing really that good in there, so we're going to go on. I wish I had Doolittle to listen to these days. I'd like to know what he thinks about my idea of Jesse James's cabin, and if I had the nerve, I might even bring the idea of letting folks sleep in our old bedroom. He might shake and say his head and say, Loretta, you are one ignorant hillbilly. I wish I could hear him say it one more time. Living with him was often hard. Living without him was worse. Well, there you go. You just remember that. If you're sitting at home right now with somebody calling you an ignorant hillbilly, remember you're going to be sad when you don't hear it no more. Goddamn ignorant hillbilly. I think Dude would be proud of me, though. He worried so much about what happened when he'd die. He worried that I'd wither up. And, of course, I did that for about a year. He didn't know if I'd ever be able to have a career again, but I've done it. With the help of managers like Lane Cross and Keith Atkinson and friends, with the encouragement of my children. I'm always surprised that with or without a records on the chart, I can still sell out almost any venue. Well, yeah, because now you're in legendary status. Dude thought people was going to take advantage of me and I'd end up in the poorhouse. Oh, I don't think they're. No, because you know what Lorettie ain't doing? Buying shit at the drop of a hat. She's going to be rich without Doolittle. Who's the ignorant hillbilly now running out and spending every dime they have on crazy things? That ain't going to happen. Day before Dude died, just before he went into that silent, loving stare at my face, he wanted me to be careful of my business and people taking advantage of me. And I'm paying attention to what's going on, close attention. And so is Keith Atkinson. We ain't going to let that happen. I also think he'd be proud that I'm trying very hard to stay in touch with the real world. That was one of his biggest concerns back in the early days, that I'd start thinking like a star and forget what was important. I don't see that with her. I don't see that at all, especially when you still had a man throwing string beans at you. Maybe that does happen to superstars, but I think he'd remind you, especially when you wake up and he's like, you're an ignorant hillbilly. Oh, I fucking know exactly where I am, I would say. That's why when I come off the road, he'd drag me out to the on the tractor to look at the corn crop or stop at the stables to see a new colt. He don't have no worry there. I know my new life still stands for what's important in the world. For each life, it's important to keep going through thick and thin, to never give up, and to make peace with yourself no matter how long it takes. I always keep going, but it took years to come to peace with myself. I had so much to learn and so much to give and too much to give up. I'd given up guilt. I had to give up guilt, give up blame, and know that when it's all said and done, I am the person responsible for my own self, not a husband or a manager or even my children, just me and the Lord, of course. This is what still woman enough means to me, taking responsibility for what you feel, for what you are. That's why I'm still woman enough. I know what you are. I know you are what you give to your husband, your family, your friends, your fans, and yourself. That's why I'm still woman enough. Then, of course, just to show you I ain't always too serious, I got one of them things to say about still being woman enough. Folks like to say that behind every great man is a woman. I'll go one better. Behind every great man is an even greater woman. Women think faster, move faster, are faster, and that is the dang truth. Wow. That's it, Lorettie. You tell them. I'll add one more thing. It's the last thing. With a little grin on my face, a twinkle in my eye, and a world of affection in my voice. Doolittle Lynn would have whooped me for saying that. That's where we end, Termites. 228 pages. These are just awards she's won. Does anybody want this book? Shall I move it on down the line? Anybody want to give it to somebody else? Hit me up on Instagram. I'll sign it. Send it to somebody right out of my goddamn own. And just to let you know, I'm a giver. This book cost, it's got a pink thing on it, $3.49. Probably cost me more to mail it. It's sad it's over, isn't it? This is fun. You should go on her Instagram. I think that's where I saw the picture. I don't know where it was posted of her in a truck. And she looks adorable. And she's all happy because she done got vaccinated. So we know she's had one shot. I think she's like 87 or something. Somewhere around there. She old. She definitely old. But that's great. Well, Termites, it's 2 books we've made it through. I might take a night off or 2 before we start the next book. Mainly because my legs hurt from sitting like this. Also because I just walked into a table over there and the corner of the table went straight into my thigh. And it feels like I've been stabbed. Other than that, Termites, we will begin again. You will get notifications if you are a subscriber to this YouTube channel. It should come up in your thing. Tell your friends to subscribe. It's the only way I can touch the people. How am I supposed to talk to you, Termites, if I can't? YouTube channel. Subscribe. That's it. I'm sad this book is over. If anybody wants it, you can have it. First person I see on Instagram. If you don't want to put your address, I don't know how to DM on Instagram. I do on Twitter. You can DM me, though. I'll have my friend Tracy figure it out. All right, Termites, pull up your sheets. By the time we get into the next book, it'll almost be spring. Well, not really. I'm pushing it. I saw a couple robins out in the tree today. That's hopeful. Because you don't really see them when it's super cold. Not as much as the sea cardinals. All right. Pull your sheets up. Do you feel proud of yourself? You made it through this book? You should. I do. It was really entertaining. We learned a lot. I got to go Google that thing I said I would Google. Now I forgot what it was. Something weird. I'll find it. All right, Termites. Close your eyes. Know that you're a good termite. You're a determined termite. You made it through this book. You've tuned in every night that it's come up. I've read your comments. You're smart termites. You're nice to each other. You're friendly termites. You're community termites. You work for the good of the whole, not just yourself. That's nice. Pull your sheets up. Are you ready? Night, night, termites.